Thanks, Tommy, and thanks for the invite. Hello, everyone. My name is Prasenjit Sen. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of Quark.AI. Quark is a 5+ year old startup based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Started by me and Dr. Sanjeev Kumar. We came together to start this company, thinking that if we could build a platform where we could interpret text and images, then there would be lots of very powerful enterprise problems that we could solve. So we started with that thesis, and one of our other goals was to make sure that we had a platform where we could onboard customers very fast. It would not become an R&D project, but it would still be AI, right? So my background, I have been an entrepreneur for a while. I was one of the founders of Informatica, in the 90s, which was a very successful IPO. Then it went private, then it went public again. After that, I've done several other ventures. My co-founder, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, the platform we have built is 25 years of his work. From his PhD in AI, then he was one of the core scientists of the DARPA project from where Siri was spun out, and he's done a lot of work in this area. So anyway, that's who we are. These are our investors. Some of our customers, range from Nutanix. They started with us when we started the company, and they have won numerous awards using our product. AMD has been a customer for over 3 years, et cetera, et cetera. So what we do very well is if you have large, complex data sets of structured and unstructured data, we have the right solution for you. So what Quark is a GenAI platform that can interpret a support query, a support ticket with, say, detailed subject, description, comments, everything. We can, read the entire thing, interpret it, and then give you, very accurate answers which are traceable to the exact paragraph as citation. So for example, if you have a ticket, here it's asking whether the impedances of the box and the ADA will match. We can tell you the answer is yes. And it is yes because in the ADA manual, page 200, we have this table which has this answer, the highlighted row. And in the MUX manual, page 15, we have this table which has this thing. So we are that precise, because unless you are that precise, the productivity, or self-service, those things don't really come out. So how does it do it? This is our platform. The first step is how we ingest the data. So, let's say you have 500,000 documents, PDF, HTML, Word, we do it all. You have support tickets with subject, description, 50, 60 comments. You have, let's say, data in Slack. You have, relational database. We ingest all the data. And particularly for unstructured data, we'll take, let's say, a PDF file, and we'll slice it up into these units called answer paragraphs. And those are atomic units that come together to give you the answer, right? So what happens is, let's say a query comes in, which could be a sentence or it could be a support ticket. We first interpret the query using the interpreter, and then the essence of the query, whatever is the meaningful information, is taken and it is fed into this AI pipeline. And the pipeline is a combination of different models, which essentially starts from a high recall to progressive filtering to identify just the right top 20 segments, let's say, which are the most correlated with the query. And those are now sorted and organized into batches of prompts based on proximity. Proximity means, the answer to the question could be in 2 different paragraphs of 2 different documents, right? So those are things we do. And that is now processed by Gen AI, could be Anthropic, GPT, local LLM, whatever, to give you the exact answer, which is traceable to the exact paragraphs. So there are 2 main technologies that come together to do this. One is how we handle unstructured data. So let's say you have a page like this, each of these in blue or gray, whatever you call it, these 2 paragraphs form 1 unit or 1 answer paragraph. Each of these cells of the table has one they're all answer paragraphs. Now, let's say these two paragraphs, the section in green, the heading, the breadcrumb, this URL, they are called the context. So every file, we cut them up into units like that. That's how we process unstructured data. These are other examples. We do tables, images, flowcharts. That's most of this complexity. We do that very well. Or not all. And we also deal with structured data. So let's say you have a relational database, full of, product specs. Let's say Cisco router, air conditioner, or say tools, or let's say you have part numbers, diagnostic codes. We handle all that. The second thing is the specialized IP having to do with how we process a query, right? So if you are talking about a complex query, not just a simple sentence, right? The first step is to interpret it. So we'll interpret it and pick up the essence. Sometimes we cut it up into subqueries. And then those are processed through this AI pipeline, which is, the core AI engine that essentially, takes the query, goes into this database where there could be millions of these paragraphs, right? Or units of information. And it picks up the most relevant ones. So it starts with the high recall. So we pick up the top 500, say, right? And then through what we call language-based filters, which are proprietary models we have developed to handle complex content for customers like AMD and Toshiba, right? So step by step, using language techniques, we'll cut them down into, step by step, reduce them to the most relevant 20. And that now, is sorted based on certain rules to prepare these 4 or 5 prompts. They're given to Anthropic GPT, any JDI, and comes the answer. So this is another technology where we bring differentiation. You'll say, well, LangChain does this, and so Microsoft does this. That is true. The difference is large volume. If you have 1 million documents or 500,000 documents, LangChain will fall on its face. Okay. We have actually customers who are coming back to us saying they have tried an in-house project with like 15,000 documents and it doesn't work, right? It is the volume. And the key to that is how we progressively filter things down step by step to the most relevant content. And the second thing is, how complex a query can you handle, right? So we can take a detailed support ticket, and that is where we handle a lot of the pain. So we have consistently delivered over 93% accuracy, 100% traceability to the exact paragraph. And, just the nature of our pipeline, hallucination tends to be contained. We also have filters or proprietary models to eliminate hallucination, right? The net of it is high productivity, and it drives customer loyalty because, customers can help themselves. So let me go through the use cases and show you a demo for each of these. So first is technical support, field support, right? Let's say Toshiba, they're one of our customers. And so Toshiba technical support, we power their level 2 support, right? So they have level 1, 2, 3 support. So when a ticket is filed, let's say in a Kroger store, there's a problem, somebody submits a ticket, when it comes to most of them come to the L2. The L2 guys use our product and, they get given the ticket exactly what needs to be done, right? So they'll either resolve it, go back to the customer, or they'll create, a service request for a field technician. We power their 300 field technicians who, then when they go to the field, they're equipped with the right tools, everything. And at each stage, there is a pain point which we solve. And then, we provide them on-site support to get the exact answers. Could be looking up a diagnostic code, could be even finding the right part number, all sorts of things. So that is that. Next is ticket interpretation. So let's say Nutanix, when a customer is creating a ticket, we interpret it on the fly to give them answers to deflect. And this can be very beneficial. I mean, if you deflect the customer at the source, it makes it the whole support operation a lot more profitable. And then self-service. Let me show you a demo. So I'll start with a very simple query, which will demonstrate the technology. So let's say if I say, what should be the minimum electrical path for ADA 9503? And this is a, technology content. So electrical path for this is 24ns. The reason why we are able to give it such precision is because this manual, this section, we found this table, and in this table, we have the electrical path length of 20 ns. So we go down to that level of precision, which makes, GenAI's job very, very easy because, that's the reason why it's gives you the right answer, no hallucination, etc. So now you click on go to paragraph, it takes you to the exact, this is a PDF file with, where the content is. Now let me take you to the next level of complexity, which is, let's say, a support ticket. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So let's say if I say, I know that MUX 9258 can be used to multiplex digital audio signals using coaxial cable for AES input. I have an ADA 9503 amplifier, and I was wondering if I can connect the amplifier output to MUX 9258. Will their impedances match? There's no direct answer to this. So in order to get the answer, you need to first get the input impedance of ADA 9503, input impedance of MUX 9258, output impedance of ADA 9503. The output of those two is now needs to be processed. I need our inputs to this Q0, which is only then you can find the wave the impedances match. So this is where the query interpreter comes in. It takes this whole thing and it cuts them up into it prepares these subqueries, throws out the noise, prepares the subqueries, and this is how you have to do it. Q1 and Q2 you execute in parallel, feed the output to Q0, and you get the answer. This is what the final output is from GenAI. The AES input impedance is for MUX 925, it is this, output impedance is this, therefore they will match. Click answer sources. In this ADA manual, this section, we found the output impedance of 75 ohms. And then in this manual, this section, we found the input impedance of MUX 9258, which is 75 ohms. Given these two pieces of information, GPT will give you the exact thing. There is no question of hallucination. The bulk of the thing, everything, is done here. So this is an example of how we add value, and this works not only for these kinds of support cases, but we have done. I have another demo, for example, for UK government, right? You can have any content, this will work. The second use case is sales support, right? So, and this is increasingly getting more and more important and something unique we bring to the table. So let's say if you're talking about selling a Cisco router, right? It's a pretty big job trying to figure out based on the customer's requirement, which router has the right specs, or let's say an air conditioner or some tools, right? So we have this thing called the product finder, for your staff, distributors, resellers, which can be a very powerful tool at their disposal. Given the customer's requirements, they can, type in a detailed query on what they want and get the answers. This is great for even after sales, aftermarket sales. Or if you want to find product compatibility, things like that. Let me show you another demo. So here, I'm looking at a commerce site, B2B commerce. We're selling thermostats, batteries, routers, etc. So let's say let's chat, and we have a query like this. Oh, this is speak hidden. We have a query like this. I'm looking for a hermetic thermostat with open temperature greater than 60 and closed temperature less than 100, right? This is a product, your product database, product specs in a relational database. So you've written what you wanted, we'll interpret it. Hermetic is the manufacturer, and you want to find the thermostat for which open temperature is greater than this and closed temperature less than 100. So we have found these from the database. The manufacturer type is hermetic. Open temperature greater than is open temperature greater than 60, right? So here they're all greater than 60. Closed temperature less than 100. So what we are doing is in the process of getting the information, if it's, we can also do math, greater than, less than, max, min, sum, because specs are all about numbers, right? I mean, if you're looking for a sensor which works at this temperature, or if the length of this tool needs to be less than 5 inches, right? So we are not only able to interpret your requirements and get the right data, but we are also able to do math on it, which makes it very powerful. Now you can say, can you, let's say I can continue the dialogue. Can you tell me which ones have current rating less than 5? So from that subset, it gives you this. So this is a very, very powerful tool for sales support. And for example, we are talking to a German company now. They have all these pipe fittings. I did not know pipe fittings was that complex. They handle ships and industrial buildings and all that. They have like 1,000 different variations. Okay. And using this kind of a tool, one of their distributors can just go and type in what they want and get it. Today, it takes them hours to do it, to figure out the right specs for a customer. So that's the other use case. So we can drive value wherever with your customers, with your internal employees, your support staff, wherever. I mean, you can also use it for internal support, to provide information to your employees, or for different kinds of self-service. Let's say you have data in SAP, and you want to power that, right? I mean, SAP consultants, they need information on the fly, to do their job. We can power all that. So these are some of the customer testimonials. Nutanix, Toshiba. Toshiba, there's overwhelming support. We started with tech support, then it went to, there's field support. They're talking about standardizing using our product next year. So that's kind of, the value we are delivering. We are actually getting a lot of coverage from these analysts, because, anybody who dives deep into our platform sees the difference between us and Copilot, or there are lots of tools in the market, but with
let's not consider Copilot as an enterprise AI. Let's just not do that at all.
That's true. Anyway, so that's what it is. If you have a call center application, also this is very powerful for call centers. And I just wanted to leave you with one note, that this sales support application, which we have released in the market, is something unique, and it can derive a lot of value at different parts of your organization. Ranging from your sales to if people need other information, just to do their jobs, right? Support, field support, everybody can use this actually. So anyways,
so
that's
real quick, I'm going to wrap up with questions. I'm going to try to keep us on time. So Marty, but before I do questions, Marty, I know you had some interesting use cases. You were thinking about this, basically when we were talking to EOH, I know you had some thoughts about it. And then also around, just kind of how you could do self-service HR and other things around it. Marty, you want to add anything there before we jump to questions?
Well, I think, if you take a look at this, you're really talking about structured and unstructured data consumption, right? And having the ability to intelligently converse with your structured and unstructured data with zero hallucinations. And what's really powerful about this is that it allows you to see the actual source of the document that it ingested, so that when you ask questions of your data, it can bring that information back. So let's think about from a compliance standpoint. Suppose you've got legal contracts across all of your different vendors, and you're trying to look at information about your different contracts, or you're trying to look at compliance issues associated with different documentation from a regulatory standpoint. You can just, your imagination can really run wild, because this is really the first tool I've ever seen that can actually ingest structured and unstructured data and have an intelligent conversation with it.
Yeah, I think why ever have another HR policy document? Couldn't you just have it? Because really all you need is a chat box, and your employees can go ask whatever questions they want.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, think about it for healthcare. Like I see huge potential in this in healthcare, right? From the coding, from the insurance, So, all right, any, go ahead. Somebody
Yeah.
about something.
I have some questions. So you guys are pulling this into your own database, all the structured and unstructured data. You may have talked about this, I may have missed it. Is that a private model that's unique to each customer? Is it going into a shared model? How would I think about data privacy with regards to your database?
Yeah. So it's a completely separate instance per customer.
Okay, good.
Right. So, and not only that, we can even do it in your data center if you want, or your AWS or GCP.
Okay, got it. That's helpful.
Quick question. Thank you, Prosenjit. You are building an enterprise-wide ELT or ETL layer, if I recall, having your own vector database connecting with the reusable pipelines agnostic to the various LLMs. So basically, are you using any kind of specific vector databases here, or is it a proprietary data?
Yeah. So no. So what we do is we have a baseline, right? The value is in the proprietary AI models and how we, the value, first of all, is in the way we ingest the data, because, the way we cut up these paragraphs using computer vision is very unique to what we do. That's what gives it precision, right? So it's all about
embeddings.
accuracy, right?
Basically, the embeddings
Yeah,
you are
correct.
doing
So,
instead.
so
Most
we,
of sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just give me one second. So there's two parts to the story, right? One is how you ingest the data, and what we do very well is, let's say you have a PDF file with a list. Inside of the list there's an image, table, etc., right? So we can, using computer vision, the way your eye sees it, we cut up the document into these units and preserve the context, which is the interrelationship between the units, right? That is one part. Or let's say you have a support ticket. So there's a lot of IP there, right? So it is, if you ETL traditionally is how you bring the data into the system. Now think of, that part is fairly standard, right? Even though we bring data from all your different data sources, we do that, right? But then how we process the ETL, the ingestion part, which is meaning the ingested data, by cutting them up into these units, or if you take a service request, how we essentially, make it, make it uh, such that the AI can benefit from it and generate the precise answers, is one part of the IP. The second is, now think of and of course, when we are storing the data, it's not just embeddings. It's actually, we are in the underlying layer. We use Solar, we use Mongo, we use a vector database like Qdrunt. It's a combination of all of these things. Now, query comes in. First is, how do you interpret the query, right? I showed you one example, but people write detailed information, right? So to pick up the signals, cut them up into subqueries, there's part of IP there, right? After that, you're dealing with a very large data set, right? So if you have 5,000, 10,000 documents, fine, you can go use LangChain, you won't have any problem. And they use a combination of search and embeddings, which is sufficient. Now, if you're dealing with 10 million paragraphs or 5 million paragraphs, right? That's a huge data set. So you cannot in one step go from here to the best 20. It never works. There's no technology I know of that can do that, right? If you feed the whole thing to Anthropic or any model, it will hallucinate all over the place. That's one of the reasons why they hallucinate, right? So it's all courtesy by CTO Sanjeev. So what we do is, we start with a high recall. We'll get the most 500 relevant segments. That first layer uses search and embeddings, right? Semantic search. That also, it's not the regular search. We use a slightly different technique, but it will take a little while. But so the first layer is what the LangChain guys kind of do, right? And then progressively from 500 to 20, step by step, we filter it down using language techniques. So let's say, if you ask a question, give me the flowchart for this. If the answer paragraph doesn't have any reference to a flowchart or a flowchart image, it's not the right fit, right? So those are called language-based filtering. anyways, I give you a long answer, so I hope this answers your question.
Yeah,
I,
thank you.
the technical agenda, did you have a follow-up agenda?
Most of the vector databases have this chunking as well as embedding based on Euclidean distance, various types of clustering methods. So
They do.
you are trying to come up with a proprietary, unique way of searching embeddings in a large enterprise scale. That's what you are trying to do here. What is the unique value here, right?
The unique
Today it
value
is
is in the.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, plug and play connecting any LLM with a RAG database like Pinecore or any other RAG databases to minimize hallucination and to show the references. All in a couple of hours, we can do it, right? What is the unique thing?
I think,
That's right.
yeah. So I think the best thing to do would be, to have a follow-up call with my CTO, and he can tell
Sounds
you,
good.
because
Thank you.
we deliver 95, 96% accuracy. Yes, theoretically, you're right. It can be done with a combination of LangChain, unstructured.io, etc. Right?
Yep.
But their customers are coming to us after having tried it, because for a large data set, you need more than that. And that distinction is, I think, where a combination of different things bring that to the table. It's not just one thing.
All right.
Right?
So I'll put
I
this
think
as
what I would recommend is, let's have a chat with my CTO and he can
Yeah.
explain to you.
Sure.
let me
Because
Thank
he's the
jump
right
in.
guy.
Because I've kind of let us get over.
You're on mute, Tommy.
Tommy, we lost you.
Sorry. That would help if I didn't take a mute. There was a truck behind me. So yeah, let me get it off top. I don't want to get too technical on this one, and we're over 3 minutes. So why don't we, Rajendra? Why don't I follow up with you after this? We'll get a call scheduled, and we'll get any questions that you have answered. Right?
I actually have some more questions too, so I wouldn't
Go.
mind maybe a less technical follow-up. Go now or later?
Let's do later, Ben. Let's
Okay,
do
no
later, so
problem.
I can keep it. I would love you to ask the questions and go. Actually, ask your top one. We'll ask one or two more.
So we're seeing a lot of companies in the tech space that are building similar models, but they're more unique to specific use case. This feels to me more like a platform approach as that could be used for multiple use cases. So like in the legal space, there are a lot of companies that are going after contracts and having an AI engine that sits atop all your contracts that you can query against it. It feels like you could do that too, but it feels like what you're building is something that would work across multiple use cases like that. So for example, we have a user manual for our stores associates. You could probably do both with what you have. Is that the way to think about it?
The answer is yes, but I need to. There's a small caveat to it. So there are certain things where our system is trained to drive to be productive very fast. For example, what you said, if you have your product manuals or product database or product related stuff, we are fine-tuned to handle that, and we can onboard you very fast. If you want to do legal or specific to healthcare, there are additional things that are needed, because legal is a lot more, it's a bit different, right?
So you're focused on product databases, and
product database is, yes.
You're doing computer vision as well as Gen AI and any analytical AI embedded in there as well?
We have an analytics tool that to give you visibility into what we do, from ingestion, your data to
No, I'm more thinking, so I'm seeing
the analytics, no, we don't.
Okay, so for example, would you also deal with external data? Like
yes,
scan from websites, for example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to look at my product and use computer vision to compare with other companies' products that are bespoke to us, but somebody's making something similar to us, and I want to see what pricing they're charging.
We can, yeah.
Okay, all right.
We can. In fact,
so I would answer differently, Ben. I would say yes. Anything that has the manuals can be done quicker, but the whole idea, the way I look at this value is it's an enterprise tool that can look across all your data, so you can have conversation and it can go wherever it needs to go get that answer.
See, to me, that's one of the big advantages why I'd be interested here is I don't have to go to a company to look at our contracts and a separate company to set up our manuals. I don't have to set it up myself. It's also in a private database, which is nice. And it's not leveraging a public Gen AI tool that our legal team won't be happy about.
That to me is the value, right? And 100%. And now it may take a little bit longer to train some of the, train some of it.
Actually,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Actually, you're asking a bunch of very relevant questions, which, if you're interested, I think we should have a follow-up call
Sure.
because we have done work in different areas and we focus on product, but, I'm quite familiar with the legal thing and all that also. So we can talk about that.
That'd be
You know,
great. But maybe we will follow up.
I'd be interested as well to have a follow up as a group or individually, whatever, Tommy. But I like the enterprise wide perspective here.
That was what attracted me to this model, as opposed to going out and cherry picking a bunch of different models and then having to pay a bunch more money because I'm doing individuals. It's the space is moving so quickly and everybody has different takes on the space. Finding a model that we could kind of use to build our own across multiple use cases has benefit to me.
Yeah.
I see, and that to me, it's a capability, right? And then you can just start adding, like, that's what I was talking about. You do HR, why do you need to do 10 Qs? Really, with a little bit of, you can pretty much do your 10 Q, right? So to me, it's a platform that you can just stack use cases on top of. That's what I like about it.
Yeah,
right.
the 10Q one is going to be fun to watch, and legal as well. So, but there's plenty of content that isn't application of record specific that we need to be intelligent across. And legal is legal. You're scared of that because people go to jail if the 10Q is wrong. But eventually, it's just information. But right now, across an enterprise, we don't even know what the information is, let alone how to have an intelligent conversation informed by all of it.
All right. Well, listen, that was a great commentary and feedback. We're gonna move on to the next one to jump so I don't start cheating people on the back end.